learners, welcome back to the Motivated Mind Zone. If you are an English learner who wants to finally move past that really frustrating process, you know the one where you translate every single word in your head from your native language before you can speak?
Translation trap.
Exactly. And you want to start communicating naturally, well, guess what? The most powerful and effective language resource you have isn't some dusty textbook. It's actually your own daily life.
That's a bold claim.
Yeah.
It really is, but it's absolutely true based on the materials we've gathered for today.
Yeah.
We're diving into a very focused guide aimed entirely at building that foundational English confidence.
We're talking about those essential A1 to A2 skills.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And it does it by using just one simple recurring topic, your day.
So the mission for this deep dive is, I think, really crucial. We're going to extract the practical how-to and the deep why it works behind using your personal routine as the ultimate sort of low-stress language laboratory. We're going to analyze the exact strategy of breaking down your day, morning, afternoon, and evening into simple, repeatable, and really powerful sentences that are all designed to achieve immediate, real-world communication.
And what's so fascinating here, and I think what makes this method a genuine shortcut, is the relentless emphasis on simplicity.
Right.
The sources argue that for early learners, the pressure of trying to find specialized vocabulary about, I don't know, history or astrophysics or complex politics, that's often what causes burnout. You just don't need to search for those words.
You just need to talk about your breakfast. And that insight you see is it's tremendously effective.
It is.
I mean, if you can talk confidently about your morning routine, the toast you ate, waking up at 7 a.m., the emails you answered, you are using high-frequency English that you will actually need every single day for the rest of your life.
Exactly. This focus on the immediate, the personal, it drastically reduces what we call cognitive load.
Okay, what is that exactly?
Well, for a beginner, cognitive load is like asking your brain to juggle 3 heavy boxes at once. One box is all the grammar rules you're trying to remember.
Sure.
The second is searching your memory for the correct English word. And the third is simultaneously translating all of that from your native tongue.
Wow, that just sounds exhausting.
It is exhausting.
Yeah.
And it's basically a guarantee for slow, choppy speech.
Yeah.
This daily routine method says, put down 2 of those boxes. Just focus on describing the action you just performed using the simplest English sentence you can.
Because you already know the story. You lived it.
You lived it.
Yeah.
Your brain doesn't have to work hard on the content or the context. It can dedicate all its power just to the language structure.
So the key takeaway for you, the learner, is really simple then. You are practicing real English, useful English. This isn't theoretical stuff. It's instantly applicable in real life, whether you're talking to a friend, a coworker, or, just practicing in the mirror.
Exactly that.
Okay, so let's unpack this core argument because it really does feel like a legitimate learning hack. Why is talking about your daily routine such an incredibly effective way to sort of fast-track fluency at those A1 and A2 levels?
It really comes down to what the source material repeatedly calls the simplicity advantage.
The simplicity advantage, I like that.
When you describe your own day, whether it was yesterday or just this morning, you already know it well. You don't have to search for ideas or historical facts or abstract concepts. The entire narrative, it just exists, perfectly formed in your immediate memory.
And that dramatically reduces performance anxiety, right? I mean, if someone asks you to describe a complex movie plot, you might freeze up trying to remember names and details.
Oh, for sure.
But if they ask, what did you do after you got out of the shower? The answer is immediate. It's
Right.
concrete.
Precisely. And the source emphasizes the importance of using simple, complete sentences. The goal is real communication, not complex grammatical gymnastics.
All right.
The sentences have to be short, they need a clear subject, verb, and object, and most importantly, they have to be repeatable.
Let's look at the example they provide that illustrates this so perfectly. If someone asks, what did you do today? Which is, I mean, that's maybe the most common social question in the world.
Absolutely. The goal is an instantaneous, simple reply.
It shouldn't be a struggle.
No, that answer needs to flow. So we're looking for high-frequency vocabulary in simple past tense. For example, describing today, you might use these building blocks. First, I woke up at 7:30.
Subject, verb, time, simple.
Then, I went to work by bus. Subject, verb, method.
Okay.
Then maybe I had coffee and answered emails, a
Mm.
couple of actions together.
Hmm.
And finally, in the evening, I made dinner and watched TV. And that reviews the whole arc of the day.
That's 4 sentences. It uses maybe 10 core verbs, but it tells a complete story. That's a full conversational answer that defines real communication.
And this is where the deeper linguistic benefits start to kick in. If we connect this to the bigger picture, this repetitive personal focus, it actively encourages the learner to bypass that complex, often paralyzing mental translation stage.
It forces you to begin to think in English.
Yes.
But I have to push back a little bit here. How does practicing "I brushed my teeth" stop me from translating in my head? I mean, I know the phrase for brushing my teeth in my native language instantly.
That's a great question, a really great challenge. The key is two things: repetition and immediacy.
Okay.
When you consciously practice the sentence, I brush my teeth slowly and carefully for 2 minutes, 20 times, while you are doing the action.
While you're doing it.
Yes, the English sentence starts to form a direct neural link to the action itself. It literally bypasses your native language. It stops being a translation and it starts being a description.
So the immediate repetitive actions of your day drinking coffee, washing your face, opening your laptop, they're the perfect training wheels because they happen so often. You're building fluency through, like, muscle memory, not just intellectual knowledge.
That's the perfect way to put it. The action and the English sentence become directly linked in your brain. This is why the source advocates for using these high-frequency words. These are the words you see most often, right? Eat, sleep, work, drink, check, go, sit.
The basics.
The absolute basics. By mastering the grammar of these core 100 verbs within the context of your day, you unlock something like 80% of necessary communication.
And what about the psychological side of it? The source makes a really strong point about building confidence, about moving away from that fear of failure.
Oh, this is so important. The primary goal is explicitly not perfection. The goal is just trying.
Yeah.
The source promotes this wonderful iterative progression that really respects the learner's pace. It's like one simple sentence today, maybe two slightly more detailed sentences tomorrow, and then, a whole story next week.
That approach just removes all the stress.
Really? Yeah.
Celebrate these tiny little victories.
And building strong habits without that overwhelming stress is so critical for long-term retention. They emphasize these practical, do-it-anytime practice methods.
Like what?
Well, you can practice in the morning to narrate yesterday, which is a perfect low-pressure way to review the past tense. Or you can do it in the evening to review today, which gives you that immediate application.
And I love the idea of recording yourself and listening back. That feels, well, it feels uncomfortable at first, for sure, but it's invaluable for self-correcting your pronunciation and your fluency.
It's really the only way to measure your own rhythm and tone effectively. And the core mantra here is always the same. Keep it simple, use the English you know, don't introduce unnecessary complexity, just speak.
Right.
The promise of the material is that the more you practice these daily simple narratives, the easier and more automatic the language becomes.
Okay, here's where we move from the theory to the practice. Let's look at the morning routine. The source calls it a very important part of the day because it sets the mood, it gives you energy, and it's the absolute perfect time to speak and think in English. It's before all the distractions start.
And the source provides this fantastic granular level of detail. This specificity is not an accident. It's what makes the shadowing practice so powerful. We move from mental prep right through to the physical act of leaving the house.
So let's detail those specific actions and sentences they provide, starting with the moment the alarm goes off. The guide sets a baseline. I usually wake up at 7:00.
Okay, simple enough.
But then it immediately introduces a bit of complexity with variation. It says, sometimes I wake up earlier around 6:30 when I have a lot to do, or sometimes I wake up later at 7:30 if it was a late night.
Oh, you see how the language immediately connects a time variable with an emotional or a necessity variable?
Yeah.
The learner isn't just practicing numbers. They're practicing how to use these conditional statements and express their physical state. Like, if I sleep late, I often feel tired the next morning. They're building these little cause and effect stories with simple language.
Then there's that crucial transition from sleep to activity, which is just full of these high-value verbs. Lying in bed for a few minutes to think, taking a deep breath, stretching, sitting up slowly, and then finally getting out of bed.
Now think about that sequence for a second. That's 5 distinct actions covered in maybe 30 seconds of narration.
Right.
But each one is an opportunity to practice a clear verb. Lie, think, breathe, stretch, sit up, get out. This moves you from passive reflection to active physical movement, which is excellent for drilling those verbs.
Okay, so moving on to grooming and hygiene. The source shifts from just a general action to this wonderful specific language for basic self-care. It's not just, I brush my teeth.
No, the detail here is so important for establishing a natural English cadence. It's, I brush slowly and carefully for 2 minutes.
Ah, the adverbs.
Yes, that detail introduces high-frequency adverbs, slowly and carefully, and it reinforces the importance of using full-time expressions for 2 minutes. If a learner can consistently use adverbs in their routine, they're already moving confidently toward that A2 level of fluency.
And I love the practical insight that makes the language meaningful. Washing your face with cold water helps me feel awake. It ties the action directly to a feeling and a desired outcome.
It teaches functional language. They also mention the choice to take a quick shower, especially if I feel sleepy, and then that valuable practice tip, using that time for language immersion.
Right. Playing soft music or listening to English audio while showering.
It just ensures that the habit of consuming English is woven right into the fabric of your day.
It makes English study feel less like a chore and more like, I don't know, environmental background noise. Then comes getting dressed. Simple but vital vocabulary. Drying off, putting on clothes, and the critical distinction between something clean and comfortable versus something more formal if there's a meeting or a class.
And see, the selection of clothes introduces contrasting adjectives.
Mm.
Comfortable versus formal. This entire section just reinforces a vocabulary that's tied directly to your immediate physical state and what you need that day. It's about building sentences like, today I need to wear formal clothes because I have an important meeting.
Okay, and now the moment everyone relates to breakfast.
Yes. The source story is designed for maximum shadowing effectiveness because it is a fixed, highly personal sequence. They describe usually eating something simple like toast with butter and jam, sometimes adding a boiled egg or maybe cereal with milk and a banana.
These are all concrete, common nouns, perfect for A1, A2 learners.
Exactly. And if they have more time, they might make an omelet or oatmeal, but the emphasis is on the ritual of enjoyment. They say, I like to eat slowly so I can enjoy my food.
And we absolutely must emphasize the most universally relatable line.
I think I know which one you mean.
I drink a large cup of coffee that's very important to me in the morning.
There it is. It integrates personal emphasis and feeling, very important. They also offer the alternative of green tea, knowing that it feels light and fresh, which introduces more sensory adjectives.
The narrative then continues with this wonderful description of a quiet moment. Sitting by the window, hearing birds singing, and enjoying the peaceful moment. That gives the learner vocabulary for reflection and sensory experience, something deeper than just listing actions.
This quiet narrative From the moment you wake up to that peaceful moment with your coffee, it's the perfect script for shadowing. Because it's fixed, the repetition embeds the structural patterns. The process is, I lie in bed for a few minutes and think about the day ahead. I stretch my arms, yawn a little, and slowly get up. Every single sentence, repeated daily, becomes a linguistic reflex.
And finally, we have the preparation to leave the house. This part requires specific, essential, highly concrete vocabulary. Checking the phone isn't just checking the phone.
Well,
It's checking the time, reading messages, checking the calendar, and looking at the schedule for the day.
and the packing list is critical. Phone, notebook, keys, water bottle, wallet, and sometimes a snack. These are objects you physically touch every single day. Associating the English word with the physical object repeatedly, that is how the brain learns without resorting to translation. It's that direct linking we talked about.
The concluding action is simple and direct. Putting on your shoes and a jacket, checking the clock one last time, and stepping outside. And that's the end of the morning sequence. A complete, highly practical narrative arc told in simple English.
Yeah. You've just described, what, 40 minutes of your life and maybe 4 minutes of confident speech? It's powerful stuff.
So the morning sets the foundation, but the afternoon. The afternoon is where life often gets messy, busy, and unpredictable.
That's for sure.
The source tells us the afternoon is often the busiest period, whether you're at work, school, or home, but it insists it's still a good time to use English, even for just 5 or 10 minutes.
The afternoon poses a different linguistic challenge than the morning does. The morning is predictable, it's internal. The afternoon is external. It often involves these complex, functional work or study tasks.
So the language has to shift.
Exactly. It shifts from simple routines to communication with others or detailed descriptions of tasks.
They start with the post-lunch slump, which is a universally relatable state. Feeling sleepy after lunch, but immediately transitioning into necessary actions. I check my emails and answer the important ones first.
Now that phrase right there is a goldmine for A2 learners. It introduces these high-value functional concepts. The concept of priority, which emails are important, and the difference between reading messages from coworkers or classmates or clients.
Right.
These are essential phrases for any professional or academic setting. We're moving beyond just the personal here.
And the structure of work or study. They detail common activities like attending meetings, which are often described simply. I meet with a client or manager for a review, or we had a class team meeting. And the important detail that these meetings are usually short, about 30 minutes.
And we can even expand on that. Instead of just saying, I had a meeting, we can encourage learners to use functional phrases like, could we quickly review the notes from yesterday? Or, I have a point on that topic.
Oh yeah, let's touch base later on the deadline.
Exactly. Those are the phrases that make you sound functional, even if you're just using the simple present tense.
If you're working from home, the vocabulary is equally specific. Sitting at the desk, opening the laptop, typing reports, or preparing presentations. These are all nouns and verbs associated with our digital lives that are so high frequency today.
And a great tip for organization that is also a practice opportunity. Linking physical organization to mental clarity. The value of keeping the desk clean and organized because it helps me think clearly.
That structure action, because that is a fantastic way for a beginner to practice conjunctions and express intent.
Absolutely. A learner can use that same structure to talk about any organized part of their life.
Yeah.
I put away the dishes because it helps the kitchen stay tidy, simple, effective.
Okay, now let's talk about the strategic break time. The source suggests a short break around 3.0, which is universally acknowledged as the perfect time for that mid-afternoon slump.
Yes. And the actions are simple. Making tea or drinking water, eating a small snack like a piece of fruit or a biscuit. But the real insight here is the focus on using even a 10-minute walk actively for fresh air.
They encourage walking around the block or sit in the sun and connecting this short physical break directly to dedicated English study.
This is where the strategy shifts. It's not just about narrating your life anymore. It's about using your life as a study tool. The afternoon methods are all about active consumption and repetition right when your brain needs a change of pace.
You mentioned shadowing earlier, which is so critical for fluency. How exactly does the guide suggest a beginner uses a 10-minute walk to practice shadowing?
This is a crucial point, and it needs some detail. Shadowing means listening to a native speaker and immediately repeating what they say, trying to match their intonation, their rhythm, and their speed. It's like being a voice echo.
So it's not just repeating the words, it's repeating the music of the language.
Exactly, the music of the language. I love that. For a beginner, the guide recommends listening to a slow English video or a podcast designed for learners.
Okay.
Step 1, just listen. Don't try to repeat, just get the general idea. Step 2, listen again, this time focusing on the speaker's intonation, where the voice goes up and down.
Right.
Step 3, listen a third time and immediately try to repeat, starting maybe half a second behind the speaker. And don't worry about being perfect. Step 4 is to practice matching the speed of the original speaker. You're forcing your mouth muscles to produce English sounds quickly and smoothly.
And that repetition, that physical practice, that's what prevents the choppy delivery that comes from word-by-word translation. Shadowing internalizes the natural flow.
It does. Other afternoon methods they recommend include reading a short article or story online during the break, or, listening to this deep dive again while you're walking and repeating short phrases out loud.
And before finishing work, the source offers this powerful tip for staying organized that also serves as a language learning reflection.
Yes, that seamless transition to the next day. The suggestion is to take 5 minutes before you log off to just write down what you did. This serves two vital purposes. Organizationally, you're ready for tomorrow. And linguistically, you're forcing yourself to consolidate the day's narrative in English, usually using the past tense.
And they specifically suggest writing down one new word I learned today and reviewing your English notebook before stopping for the day. That makes the end of the workday a structured study session.
This is the reflection summary. It elevates the practice from just describing basic actions to describing progress and feelings. And the ultimate tip is writing one English sentence describing the feeling you have about the day's work.
This moves the learner away from simple actions and into the more abstract world of emotion.
Yes, this is where the A2 learner starts to bridge that gap.
Mhm.
Instead of just saying, I finished work, they integrate feeling. They provide excellent examples. I finished all my work today and I feel proud.
Mm.
Or, if the day was tough, I didn't study much today, but I will try again tomorrow.
That integrates emotional vocabulary and goal setting right into the daily habit. It ensures that the language practice is tied not just to things and tasks, but to your identity, your motivation, and your future plans.
It's a huge step.
Let's transition into the evening. The time to relax, but also the final opportunity to solidify the day's learning before you sleep. The evening routine is essential because it is often when we have the most social interaction.
That's right. The evening demands a slightly different set of vocabulary, one focused on home, relaxation, food, and sustained conversation.
So they detail the sequence. Arrival time, which they put around 6:00, taking off your shoes, and resting for a few minutes. Simple verbs, simple actions.
The relaxation methods are key vocabulary, watching the news or listening to music to relax. Then comes dinner preparation,
Hmm.
cooking or ordering food, often with that condition. I order food if I feel too tired to cook.
And that use of the conditional if structure, even in a simple way, is so highly functional for a learner.
Absolutely. And the importance of family time is highlighted. Eating dinner at the table with family, talking about the day, sharing stories. This is the ultimate functional communication practice.
You're hearing and producing high-frequency narrative English in a low-pressure, familiar environment.
Exactly. And if the learner is practicing alone, the recommendation would still be to mentally narrate this process. You know, I am cooking pasta. I am sitting at the table. I am thinking about what I will say to my family tomorrow.
Right. And then the cleanup. Cleaning the kitchen, washing dishes. Again, these are simple, fixed actions that are easy to repeat and internalize the specific verbs clean, wash, put away.
The final activities before bed complete the wind down cycle. Maybe a short walk after dinner, reading a book, or listening to calming music, a final shower, and brushing your teeth before going to bed around 10:30 or 11:00.
This sequence provides perfect bookends of consistent vocabulary practice. It starts with waking up, ends with preparing for sleep. The day is just this closed loop of language practice.
It's a complete system.
So now that we've gone through the full cycle, morning, afternoon, evening, we reach the practice challenge that the source poses to the listener. This is the moment of real-world application.
This is the practical test. The learner is challenged to speak about their own day, whether it was a typical day or the day they just had. This is the moment where they have to transfer the learned structures. I woke up, I ate, I went, I worked, to their own personal content.
But for an A1 learner, starting a full narrative from a blank slate can still feel really intimidating.
It can. It absolutely can. And that's why the guide stresses two things. First, the core message. The goal is to speak, not to be perfect.
Right.
Fluency and confidence are so much more valuable than grammatical precision at this stage.
And second, they provide excellent scaffolding for those who are shy or feeling overwhelmed by the thought of starting a full narrative. They give prompts.
Yes, the use of prompts and sentence starters is absolutely crucial. They guide the learner to the right grammatical structure without forcing them to invent the whole sentence. They just have to fill in the blank.
Can you give us some of those practical prompts?
Sure. For the afternoon, starters like, in the afternoon I usually,
Yeah,
after lunch I like
that's
to, or I check my schedule to see. For that emotional connection we talked about, they recommend starting with, sometimes I feel, or today I was.
These prompts allow the learner to focus only on the required vocabulary and context, rather than trying to construct the underlying grammar framework from scratch.
Exactly. They provide the rails, and the learner just tries the train. This structure ensures that the learner isn't just studying English, they're using English. They're living in English one sentence at a time.
That really shifts language from an academic subject to a functional tool for life.
It does.
And the final encouragement and actionable next step is clear. Practice your daily routine until it feels easy. Come back and listen, or shadow again, and crucially, each time, add more to your story.
That's how complexity and detail are introduced naturally, without overwhelming the beginner. The beauty of this method is the concept of continuous improvement. You master the basic framework, the fixed routine, and then slowly you add the adjectives, the adverbs, the conditional clauses. You have a safe, familiar routine to always fall back on, and that routine becomes your personal living dictionary. So as we wrap up this deep dive, we've seen clearly that the most effective, stress-reducing path to foundational fluency is through a hyper-focus on the immediate and the personal. By mastering the vocabulary and structure of your own routine, your day, your dictionary, you create a confident base for all future conversations, whether they are about world events or just about what you ate for breakfast.
And remember that the source emphasized that every morning is a little different, but trying to follow a good routine and starting that day with English practice leads directly to feeling more focused and genuinely proud of your progress. You're moving from passive consumption of English rules to active daily production of English sentences.
That sense of internal confidence and focused repetition is what truly drives long-term success. It's what transitions a learner from A1 to A2 and well beyond.
So, we discussed using your daily summary to describe how you feel proud, motivated, tired. Here's a challenge for your next level of practice. We started with simple emotions. What if you picked one slightly richer, more nuanced emotion word every single day this week? Let's say elated, or frustrated, or calm, apprehensive, maybe satisfied, and you use the routine structure we just unpacked to describe how that one emotion influenced your morning, your afternoon, and your evening.
Oh, that's brilliant. It forces you to integrate richer, more descriptive vocabulary directly into your simple, fixed routine. You're increasing the cognitive load subtly, but only after you've mastered the foundation.
That's your next level of practice. Keep building your confidence. Keep practicing. Keep believing in yourself. And keep using your own amazing life as your language laboratory.